Good day, everyone. My name is Emma, and today I'm going to talk about the topic what would happen if a foreign country got involved in a civil war. Before we start, here are things that I'll be talking about. So now I'll be explaining this topic a little. The foreign country is not supposed to be a part of the war, but decides to get involved by supporting military, aid, or political influence for one side of the civil war. Secondly, I'll be talking about the benefits that the foreign country might bring. If a foreign country gets involved, then that foreign country is usually the superpower. Being the superpower is also equal to having large influence. With large influence, then that foreign country might be able to bring the civil war to an end. However, instead of stopping the war, they're more likely to do the opposite. Here what the foreign country will create. The war will escalate. The involvement of a third party can trigger the domino effect where other countries are being pulled into the conflict due to various factors, leading to a wider regional war or even worse, a global war. When more countries are being pulled into the conflict, they'll think of more and different strategies and use more weapons to defeat the enemy. The more strategies and weapons being used, the higher the chance war will escalate. Humanitarian consequences. The larger the war is, the more devastating the humanitarian consequences will be. Humanitarian consequences include displacement and forced migration, hunger and malnutrition, and the disruption of essential services. However, not only 3 or 4 countries are being affected. Neighboring countries may also be heavily affected by this too. Neighboring countries, already influenced by population dispersals, may find themselves plugged into a delicate situation, leading to a diplomatic tension. When a state participates in a civil conflict abroad, it can have profound consequences of its own internal politics. Leaders may be forced to justify their intervention, altering their image with the public. We change our view to a global scale, then the small civil war can lead to so many terrifying results. Civil war often lead to devastating economic consequences, not only for the most affected country, but also for the neighboring nation and international trade as a whole. The disruption of infrastructure and political instability increase the cost of trade exchanges. Here are some examples of civil wars that grew bigger because it was intervened by a foreign country. The Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was originally a civil war between the North and the South, but because the Americans decided to get involved in the war by supporting the South, the war grew bigger and lasted a lot longer. If it didn't get involved, the war would have ended in less than 2 years. Here are the reasons why. Number 1. The North Vietnam military is very experienced because they battled with the French and the Japanese before the Americans. Second, North Vietnam had a great leader who focused and was able to strategize better. Third, South Vietnam had weak and corrupt leaders, causing low morale and ineffective decisions. Consequences that the U.S. faces leading the war. The war impact on the U.S. economy, military morale, and global reputation contributed to a period of geopolitical re-evaluation and a decline in public trust. The second example is the Sudan Civil War. This civil war began on 15 April 2023 between the Sudanese Armed Forces (SAF) and the Rapid Support Forces (RSF). The war started after tensions over the RSF joined the army, with the RSF attacked government sites in Khartoum and other cities. The capital region was soon divided into 2 factions. The Sudan Civil War included arms shipments from China and Russia, Turkey, who sent weapons, with UAE and Chad supporting the RSF, and Egypt supporting the SAF. With the involvement of a third party, the war became more complicated and lasted a lot longer. Sudan is said to be facing severe humanitarian crisis, marked by extreme food shortage, water, medicine, and aid access. But do you ever wonder why foreign countries want to get involved? Foreign countries may want to get involved for a variety of reasons, including strategic, economic, ideological, and humanitarian interests. That's why they created a law called the Principle of Non-Intervention in International Law. This law dedicates the right of every Soviet state to conduct its own affairs without outside interference. However, according to Aine Orfer from the University of Melbourne, she stated that since the early 90s, the principle of non-intervention has become uncertain because they are and will change over time, making it hard to define customary international law, as seen in the past International Court of Justice rulings on civil war intervention. In conclusion, when a civil war happens, it's better for a foreign country not to get involved. It's better to sit down and negotiate rather than getting involved and fighting. Thank you for your time and attention.